what is the biggest worry that people normally cite and say, this is scary, we need to do something about this, this is a moral imperative? What is behind that?
Aside from the movie Gattaca, which I think is behind a lot of it. It's a very scary movie.
It is.
I don't know if you've seen it lately. Gina was conceived of and passed because people are very concerned that opportunities will be forestalled based on a possibility of some genetic issue that could befall them later on in life. That they're being, prejudged, pre-penalized based on something that might not happen.
So GINA, or the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, was passed in 1995. And what did it do?
GINA was actually signed into law in 2008. It was a very long process. So the fight to create GINA first began in 1995. A bunch of the bills that eventually became GINA started circulating through the government back in 95 and probably being talked of even earlier. Well, GINA's general goal is to prevent discrimination by employers with 15 or more employees or by insurers based on an individual's genetic information or family medical history. So they included family medical history in part because not everyone has had their genome sequenced. But the idea is this breaks down into a lot of different provisions. Of course, a lot of different individual granular protections that an insurer cannot raise premiums based on the fact that, say, my aunt had breast cancer. I may or may not carry one of the BRCA gene variants that would increase my likely risk of receiving breast cancer. I cannot be charged under GINA a higher premium for that. Likewise, your insurer or your employer cannot require that you undergo any type of genetic testing to assess your risk for developing any condition. It permits, of course, a healthcare provider to recommend genetic testing for various purposes, but even then, an insurer or an employer can only collect the bare minimum of information that they need to have for coverage decisions. Basically, they cannot collect and store additional information regarding your genetic makeup, predispositions.
Do you feel the concern about genetic discrimination is valid?
Absolutely. I mean, you can all too easily imagine an employer, saying, let's not say breast cancer. Let's say someone has they've had their genome coded, and they show a likelihood. It shows that they will almost certainly develop Huntington's, say, and an employer who wants to make a long-term investment in an employee, if they have access to that information and they're allowed to make decisions based on it, might say, we'd really rather have someone who will have a longer working life with us. Likewise, an insurer. I mean, insurers make their money based on having the maximum number of basically healthy people paying into the insurance pool, which then goes to pay for the less healthy people. It is in the insurer's best interest to keep as many people who are going to develop serious conditions out of that pool as possible. So yeah, I think that's a completely rational concern that people had that led to GINA. I think it's one of the few occasions when, as you said, they sort of got out ahead of the possibility of experiencing this type of discrimination.